I'm going to give you 5 tips today about how to find your true passions, especially when you've been conditioned down a certain path for so long. This comes from a specific question that Kaiser the Redbeard asked. I thought it was a brilliant question because so many of us have been swayed towards a specific path, so towards being a doctor or a lawyer or a mother or a workaday dad, whatever it may be. We're so ingrained in thinking that that is the only thing that we can do, that we can't shift, we can't change, we can't do something that makes us feel good. We're stuck at this job that sucks the life out of us, that makes us feel like we're just doing it for the grind and not satisfied, not happy. I struggled with this for a very long time, and even though I was not necessarily doing things that I didn't love, I didn't do things that I really was passionate about. I didn't do things that made me light up, that made me feel good inside. Now, things are different. So I'm gonna give you 5 things. The first tip is something that I did, and I actually have a continuing list, is a brain dump. Just everything that you can think of, that you enjoy doing, that you think you would like to try. It doesn't have to be something that you actually would do, just something that you think you'd like to try. So my list consists of everything from jumping out of a plane to learning how to fly, to learning how to sail, to learning languages. And these aren't necessarily things that I'm going to create a job out of or create a business out of. They're things that I enjoy doing. So I think we put this limitation on ourselves of it has to be, sorry, the cat packing something behind me. We put these limitations on ourselves thinking, okay, this has to be something that makes us money. This has to be something that I'm going to generate an income out of. And that's not necessarily the thing. Some passions you are not going to make anything of. I love painting. I love art. I love drawing and, playing around with colors, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to sell my artwork. I do it because it makes me feel good. So this brain dump that you're going to do, get yourself a notebook and just start listing every single thing that you could possibly think of. Then what I want you to do is, once you've done that, and I want you to have a list of at least 50 things. Add to it every day that you think of something. And then what I want you to do is, when you feel like you've got a nice long list, take 10 things out of that list. And I want you to write that on another list. Instead of doing anything now, I want you to sleep on it. Take a look at your list before you go to bed and just sleep. Think about what it is that you would really love to start doing right now. After you slept on it a day or a day 2, pick 2 things. And hopefully you've got something that we can go into the next tip, which is tip number 2, pick something physical and pick something academic. So maybe you want to take up football again after you were playing football in high school. I don't know. I used to play rugby when I was little. So, playing rugby. And then something academic in, I want to learn how to write code. I don't. Just saying. Maybe you do. So you've got something that's academic that makes your brain think, and something that's physical that works your body. Then that way you're not stuck with, I've got to do this thing and I really am not too keen on it. Let me tell you something. When you try these things, I don't want you to feel like you're stuck in doing those. I've tried this thing. I decided I don't like it. I have to keep going on it. No, you don't. You can quit it. You can stop. I have learned so many things to the extent that I feel I need to learn them, and that's it. I'm done. So I don't dive deep into everything. I'm not an expert, but I've gotten as far as I'd like to go in that, whatever it may be. All right, so tip number 3 is, if you can't figure out this brain dump, start asking yourself, what is it that you wanted to be when you were a kid? So I wanted to be a vet. I actually wanted to be specifically a panda vet. Just pandas, nothing else. Obviously, That's not something that I want to do now, but I still love animals. So I try to do as much as I can with animals, but it's not something that I'm going to go to vet school just so I can be a panda vet. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an artist. I like writing. I like doing my artwork, but those are not things that I do all the time. They're just things that I do occasionally. My passions are varied. I have tons of things that I love to do. So don't limit yourself in thinking that it can only be one thing or it can only be two things. All right. So tip number 4, what are you good at? Now, let me clarify. What are you good at that you would do just for fun? Not something that you're good at that you've learned as a skill. I am really good at filing and organizing paperwork. Freaking hate it. I may be good at it, but I don't like it. So that is obviously not a passion, okay? It's not something that I want to kindle into a passion, because it ain't happening. If you can't remember, because I really had a hard time with this one. The whole remembering what I wanted to be when I was a kid. But maybe you do remember. So find what it is that you wanted to do. Or if you can't, ask your family. You know, when I was a kid, what did I always talk about wanting to be? Did I want to be a cowboy? Did I want to be a fireman? Did I want to be a cop? Did I want to be a nurse? It doesn't mean that those are things that you're going to follow. Those are not necessarily things that you're going to pursue. But it gives you an idea of things that you enjoy, that you may want to work yourself towards. The last thing is, tip number 5 is, if you can't figure it out with all of these different tips, ask your friends. What do they enjoy doing? What do they feel that they're good at? What did they want to be when they were kids? You may not agree, or you may not find the things that they wanted to do or the things that they're passionate in interesting, or even things that you'd like to do, but you can get ideas. There's so many things out there that you could be, so many things that you could do. So many times we get caught up in a direction that the path that we've gone down is the only thing that we know how to do. We're caught up in, I've done this thing for so long. It's become my identity. It's who I am. And without it, I don't know what I would be, or who I would be, or what I would do. I want to let you know right now that that is not you. Americans are so good at becoming what they do. Their job is who they are. We forget that there's a world out there of who we really are. And we are not our jobs. We are not, the only thing that we can do for our families is provide for them. This is the thing that brings in the bread. But that is not who we are. It is just something we do. Who we are the things that we love, the things that we like to do, the things that bring us joy, the things that light us up. So you need to find those things, and it's not easy. I'm going to tell you, sometimes it feels very frustrating because you feel like, I have no idea where to start. I've given you a list of a few things that you can try. And if you have any other questions or want any more specifics, please feel free to reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will try and help you figure out what it is that you want to do with your life. But understand that just because you've been on a certain path for so long, it doesn't mean that you need to stay on that path. All you need to do is change your story, and you can change your path. So these are just a few things. I know it's a very short list. It doesn't take a lot. If I think of other things, then I will share them with you. I saw that message and I thought, that's a brilliant question, because so many people have no idea how to even start finding their passions. I need to share this with you. So I asked Roy, because I had some ideas in my head of how to help you to reconnect to those passions. It was funny because he thought I was being facetious. He thought I was joking. And I said, no, I'm serious. He's like, well, it's a rhetorical question. And I said, no, it's not. Some people really have a struggle with this, because we have always continually had a list going of things that we want to try. For us, it's easy. We know what we want to do. We know this list of what we want to, what our passions are, what we enjoy doing is an ever-growing list. We continually add to it. When we learn something, well, I've knocked that off the list, I'll try something else on my list. And it's an ever-evolving passions list. So for us, yes, it sounds arrogant, and just the way it is. Once you start realizing that you can create a passions list, and it doesn't have to be just one thing, you're going to find that that list grows, and you'll be adding to that list daily. Initially, you're going to have that list, you're going to get it down to a couple things, and you're going, God, I can't think of anything. And then as your brain ruminates on it and starts thinking and remembering all of those things, and if you are quiet and you let your soul speak to you and you let your heart speak to you, oh boy, that list will grow. It will grow. So let me recap. 5 things. Do your brain dump. All right, just everything that you can think of. Pick 2 things. Honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, some of you are not going to do the brain dump. And that's perfectly fine. We've suggested it to so many people and they've never done it. It's a help. It really does help. If you already have an idea, then pick one thing physical, pick one thing academic. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is, what did you want to do as a kid? What was it that you always dreamed of being? Now, granted, if you wanted to be an astronaut, maybe you can't necessarily be an astronaut, but maybe you can do things along that same vein. Maybe you can get something in stargazing, or learn the constellations, or something that's in that same vein. You don't need to necessarily go with that one specific thing. So we can talk about that another time. Tip number 4 is, what are you good at now? What is it that you would do for fun? Even if you didn't get paid, you'd still do it. A friend of ours does woodworking. He does it on the side and he loves it. He thought he would never do it. He's an IT guy. He's never used tools, and now he's got all the tools. And then tip number 5 is, ask your friends, what do they enjoy? What did they want to be when they were kids? What is it that they enjoy doing now, and what is it that lights them up? So check with them. Other than that, if you have any other questions or you enjoyed this, please subscribe. I always forget to do that. Hit the like button. Apparently that helps me out. And if you need something else or you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments, all right? If you've done any of these, please share in the comments. What is it that you love to do? What is it that you're passionate about? If you're stuck, what path is that specific path that you're on right now that you'd like to deviate from? Maybe there's something in that gives you a clue. Maybe there's something in that maybe you can take a tangent, learn something else along the same vein. You know, it's medical. Maybe go a different route. Maybe it's legal. Take a different route. You know, maybe it's mechanics or whatever. But try something new. Okay? So, live life adventurously, guys. It's the only way to live. All right, I'll talk to you later.